Welcome to the English Language Institute of Singapore's podcast series on Classroom Inquiry. I'm your host, Dr. Alison Tan, a lead specialist from ALICE. In this episode, you will hear from Ms. N. Selvakumari from Wellington Primary School. Selvakumari participated in our Classroom Inquiry for English Language and Literature Teachers course in 2021. She's here today to tell us more about the Classroom Inquiry she conducted after taking the course. Her inquiry question was, how does the explicit teaching of descriptive words affect students' narrative writing? Hello, Kumari. Welcome to the ALICE podcast.
Hi, Alison. It's good to see you again.
Kumari, let's begin with your motivation. Could you tell us what prompted you to embark on Classroom Inquiry?
I observed that my Primary 2 students lacked interest and motivation in writing. Many thought it was difficult. They could not describe their characters, and in their stories, they tended to use simple, mundane words like sad and happy. I wanted them to use more descriptive words to make their writing more interesting. I believe that when they can do this, they will gain confidence and feel more positive about writing.
So what did you do to help your students become better writers?
I decided to teach explicitly sensory words and phrases to expand the students' vocabulary. I showed my students how to use words and phrases to make their descriptions more vivid. I scaffolded their learning until they could independently apply the appropriate words and phrases to their own writing. Essentially, I taught my students how to use sensory words and expressions to make their writing more expressive. It was something they didn't know how to do before.
Could you give us an example of what you taught them?
I taught them sensory words and synonyms of common adjectives. For example, instead of saying the room was smelly, they could say the room reeked of smoke and urine.
Oh, that must have been fun for the children. Could you elaborate on how you designed your Classroom Inquiry?
I first gave my class of 30 mixed ability students a pre-intervention writing task. They had to write a story based on the title, A Surprise Birthday Celebration. Then, I conducted the intervention, which took about 7 lessons. After that, I gave them the same title to write about for the post-intervention writing task to see if they could apply what they had learned. For the first 5 lessons of the intervention, I taught my students words that are related to the 5 senses. I also discussed with them the differences among similar words, such as the verbs look, stare, glare, glance, and spy. In Lesson 6, I guided my students to insert appropriate sensory words into passages to make the writing more effective. Students could draw from the words they had collected from previous lessons. In Lesson 7, I gave the students a short passage, had them revise it to make it more interesting, and discussed the changes they had made. Following that lesson, the students were asked to apply what they had learned. They completed the post-intervention writing task.
Did you collect any other data besides the pre- and post-intervention tasks?
Yes, I conducted a short survey of the students' views before and after the intervention. I wanted to find out if my teaching had made an impact on their attitudes towards writing and learning new words. My survey consisted of 3 statements. Students could select yes, no, or sometimes when responding to the statements. The first statement was, I like to write. The second statement was, I like to discover new and interesting words. And the last statement was, I feel that I'm good at writing.
Okay, so you collected examples of your students' writing and their responses to a survey. What were the findings of your inquiry?
When I compared their pre- and post-intervention writing tasks, I found that most of the students wrote longer compositions, used more sensory words, and were better at describing characters' thoughts and feelings. The survey results were encouraging too. In the second survey, about 50% more students reported that they enjoyed writing and learning new words. They also felt that they were good writers. For example, while in the first survey, 55% said they liked to write, in the second survey, 75% responded positively. While in the first survey, 60% agreed that they like to discover new words, In the second survey, 90% expressed this. Likewise, in the first survey, while only half the class felt that they were good at writing, after the intervention, 75% said this.
Well, those are encouraging results. What did you learn from your study?
I learned the importance of explicit teaching and immersing my students in positive classroom experiences. One of the most important strategies I felt was showing my students, especially the middle and low progress ones, how much their peers and I value their work. Such attention and affirmation increased their motivation to write.
Did anything surprising or unexpected happen during the inquiry?
Yes, there was a boy who, after a few lessons, went home to learn more descriptive words and came back to help his classmates, including the high ability ones. His mother was curious about his enthusiasm and called me to find out what was happening. It was quite heartwarming to see students of different abilities coming together to help one another.
What have you learned from conducting a classroom inquiry?
Previously, I did not have much knowledge about data collection and analysis. Through this inquiry, I learned different data collection methods and how to go about analyzing the data. This is tremendously helpful because I could identify from the evidence what worked, what didn't, what my students need, and what I can do to help them.
Kumari, that is encouraging to hear. Do you have any tips for teachers who would like to conduct their own classroom inquiry?
I would say find someone like a colleague or a more knowledgeable other to have frequent dialogues with about your ideas and the progress of your inquiry. These conversations can help clarify your thinking and provide ideas and solutions.
Kumari, thank you for telling us about your classroom inquiry experience.
Thank you for having me.
We've come to the end of this episode on Classroom Inquiry titled Helping Primary 2 Students Write Better Stories. I'm your host, Dr. Alison Tan. Thank you for listening.